So, but that's you.
Oh, we're live. Hey, welcome to one we're recording today. We're talking about Cowboy Bebop. We watched
Much
the first
No, wait.
enthusiasm.
season. It was really boring.
Let's let's fight more about Star Trek. So, because we're in my wheelhouse. So,
Just don't agree with you on
all right. So, episode 1. Just kidding. So,
episode 1, minute 1. Take us away,
yeah,
Alex. This is your baby.
she doesn't have
No,
those level of notes. Thank
nah.
goodness. So,
Well, how many of us had actually seen this before or actually remembered it? Because it's not like it's your first time through it, Justin, right? It's like, but it's the only time that you have
I
working memory of.
yeah, I have amnesia, about this show, and like some of the stuff, like I'll read through the trivia or I'll see something in the show and be like, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure I've watched this, but I've never so thoroughly eradicated a show from my memory before. And that sounds malicious. It just didn't hook me. And, I think I'm there so far again. So, like I see the greatness, right? In some regards, but the episodic, like, continual fuck up of being bounty hunters and that sort of thing. It's not a very compelling story to me.
Mm.
So
It's not.
Yeah,
so yeah.
that's
Yeah,
very very much. I had the same thoughts when I was watching it. It was like I love the I would love to see like the animation just like made
yeah,
again, exactly as it is, but just for a
right.
widescreen thing because it's beautiful. Really like it.
Animation's 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Music is 10 out of 10. The world building's like 7 out of 10.
Uh,
The
uh,
Yeah, no, we're doing it. Let
I don't
let
know
me
if
set the
I would.
table. Let me set the table before you flip
Oh
it.
man,
The characters, like the main cast, I'll go in for an 8, but the story I'm just straight up at a 5 right now, and
The
it's just
story
not,
is the five is
you know.
generous. I was really world cool, like you said. Like I'm very much with Justin here. World cool, characters cool, a lot of stuff to like animation, music, like you said. The
Yeah,
episodic one stories and nothing ever really gets any meat on it. Really, it's 20-minute
including the
episodes.
main characters.
Yeah,
So
they don't get that. They continue them being hungry, having to repair the ship, and they never make a bounty as well.
They do a
right,
little bit.
They
It's
do a
just
little.
always not the bigger ones that they want.
they're just scraping by, right? So
right?
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, they caught. I think exactly. Had to on kind of I think one bounty that they actually were able to cash in at the beginning of one episode, right?
right.
In the segment we watched, the first 10 episodes.
Well, and that's part of it too. Like anytime they do cash in the bounty, you practically don't see what happened. But yeah, it was there was a later one, right, where they split it 3 ways with Valentine, and then she immediately scoots off to the casino to lose it all again.
Right.
Yeah,
So
that happens
That's
a
what I'm
lot
thinking
with
of.
her.
That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
I think I've seen this show before, and it's an old favorite because my first exposure was to the soundtrack, and I can just put
sure,
it on and vibe, and that's kind of where I
right.
am with Cowboy Bebop. I feel that I get where you're coming from with this being a show about uh, what do you call it? Very episodic, and it's not very like big arc plot heavy. It's sort of
Yet.
Sure.
yet. Well, I mean, and even when it gets there, it doesn't really get there. It's kind of more just fun with the crew, and I think
Yeah.
that's fine for shows. I
Mhm.
think that's a choice
Well,
they made. It's not like
I mean, they are setting
Emily,
up Spike's backstory, right?
and everyone's
Because
backstory is great. Like Faye is my favorite character, but not at this point in the show. It's when you get her
gotcha.
backstory that she makes sense, right?
Okay,
Ed is just kind of fun and goofy. Ein is Ein. Um, Spike
he's a
has
dog.
this cool guy demeanor, but he's really just kind of sad. And Jet, we just got Jet's backstory, which was nice, kind of, right?
Yeah, it was like
His
half,
proclamation of
I think.
his proclamation of like self identity and here's who I am, despite it all, uh, and that works. I understand why you're not into it coming out of like a big long arc, thematically rich arc, storytelling dense, action dense show like Full Metal Alchemist. But
Sure.
Cowboy Bebop, it's more like, I think it's maybe deliberate. It's more like just hanging out
It
and
is
being
more of
sad.
a
It's about hanging out and being
perspective.
sad, and that's what Cowboy Bebop is. It's a little bit of goofy fun along the way.
Right.
But it's more of a slice of life in that, like, you're seeing how
That's a
they're
good
getting
one,
through
yeah.
the day to day in this universe, and it's not just the world is ending, and here's how we have to
Sure.
survive the thing. They do have lower stakes. They do have like but I got to pay the bills tomorrow type
Right.
of problems.
Kinda, yeah.
And
They
I'm
do these bounties and these low, which are always starting at lower stakes, but then this wild extra thing happens, and every time that also makes them not get the bounty, and
right. Yeah, you're like 5 episodes in, and every single time their mark has been accidentally shot or shot on purpose or whatever, and it's like, okay, maybe you guys are not very good at this job or something like that.
They
I
do
don't,
have a lot of bad luck.
you
Yeah.
know.
They feel
Sure.
cursed, and they're
Yeah,
right to
and
feel cursed.
yeah, and I'm definitely okay with like a more street level thing. I feel like I've come out on the show multiple times and just been like the direction that Star Trek is right now. For example, I do not like the fact that the galaxy has there's some galactic ending event that only the main crew can save us every single season of every fucking show right now, right? Like I don't need that to be the case. These guys didn't need to be like the only things that could stop the space gate at Earth blowing up, right? Like, oh God, they fucked it up or whatever, right? It just, it's not always compelling. The first episode, there's a lot to kind of sink your teeth into. I remember the whole like, oh right, yeah, she's not actually pregnant thing, that reveal. It's great, right? They've got a lot of great components. It's tough to grab a hold of, right? It's not a lot for, keeping your attention, I guess, as much as anything, right? And I mean, I like what Ben said in the sense that it was like, if you want to hang out in space, cool. If you want to hang out and be in your feelings, I'll grab a beer and some sake or something like that, and we can be in our feelings while we watch this if that's what we're supposed to do. It just that's all. That was my main shot, and I was like, I'm gonna start an argument, right? But it's just like even episodic is fine sometimes, right? But there's just like the 5th time you're like, oh, we didn't get the bounty again, and we still can't keep the lights on, and I'm like, okay, and
least they
I'm
got a good
probably for bounty hunters it is intermittent enough, right? Where it's like it's semi winning the lottery, right? It's like you got your big score and then you're good for a little while and then you got to go get work again or whatever. But yeah, like
Yeah.
they
They
just
have a
keep fucking
grind
it
that they
up,
have to keep
you know.
going through. So no matter, even if they did get the score at the end of every episode, a couple weeks later, their expenses are so high they have to keep going. So
Sure.
it just makes better story of like, oh, and we still lose at the end of it of like, well, the person died or the person's stuck in the meta space and can't get out. I think they did
Sure.
get the bounty for that one because they stopped
That,
the
that
whole
one, I don't think they did
plague.
for that. I don't think they
Right.
did that one.
They-
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Or like the one with Ed, right? Where it's like, oh, sorry, you did the thing, but we can't pay you because we don't pay out bounties on computers. Like what a great loophole, right? If you want to talk about something edging into grimdark, like what we were talking about before the show, that I don't feel like this fully gets there, but you can see it on the cusp of that, right? Where it's like every day they lose, and no matter, even if they win, they still lose because of loopholes or because of damages inflicted in the carrying out of their tasks or whatever the case may be. That it always comes up the house, right? And that's kind of like the security forces or whatever they are paying out the bounties. Somehow they always get their money back, at the end of it. So yeah.
This soundtrack is second to none. Like
Sure. Yeah.
It's just an amazing aural atmosphere you have, and what an interesting juxtaposition there. I do feel it is more Bebop than Cowboy, though I get how I get how they have some of those little nods to being a Western with The
I mean, so
with
the
the Indian
cowboy
guy.
part is told very visually. Like looking through their Wikipedia of all of it, it's just like this was a reference to Fistful of Dollars. This was a reference to Sergio Leone stuff. This was a reference to all sorts of things.
Fair
There are
enough.
so many references to
Sure.
westerns and to noir. It's kind of ridiculous. And then the audio is more of that jazz and
But as we know,
a lot of music references
noir and
inside
westerns
that
are the
too.
same thing, as we know.
I
No.
don't get.
No. Even if they were twins, that doesn't make them the same thing, right? But
Right.
No.
But
Anyway.
the only
Yeah.
other things that I feel that can compete with this kind of audio are the other things that Yoko Kanno have worked on. And she's the one in charge of the music for this and a few of the other things that these people have worked with. But like Ghost in the Shell comes to mind, and she did the music
Oh,
for
yeah.
that. So it's just like she's
There's
amazing. She's well known about this.
There's a show we need to watch. A
Yeah,
Standalone
I mean-
Complex. Oh yeah.
I'm down to rewatch it. I always figured I'd rewatch it with the kid, but if we need to do that, it's one of the like 3 to 5 animes that I can say that I've liked, right? So yeah.
And for reference, the what's it? Full Metal Alchemist is on that list. Would you
I
say you
think
like
at this
that one?
point, yeah, it's safely on the list for sure. So
Thank God we don't have to fight.
right. There's only so much fighting I can bring to the table today. So yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The cowboy thing again, like it's as much in their attitude, I think, as it is anything else, which is also kind of weird because it's like, Spike is Spike is former Syndicate, right?
Yeah.
Who also uses a lot of Jeet Kune Do. So it's like none of this is really getting me into the Western vibes, but
He has a lot of references to Bruce Lee, apparently.
Yes. Yeah. Like his martial arts style is apparently very heavily modeled after Bruce Lee and everything.
You
So
can definitely see it's some sort of. I mean, I don't know what you can do exactly, but I do know, some Wing Chun, which is what that's based on, or like what it looks like, and it looks like something from there.
Sure.
Yeah, in the Waltz for Venus, he said something like flow like water, which is something that Bruce Lee had said. In a different one, he was playing with nunchucks, which is Bruce Lee's known to do. He was his fighting style is definitely based on at least something of what Bruce Lee and various kung fu movies, maybe. This whole series is like a love affair to things that these people have enjoyed of westerns and noir and kung fu.
Yeah.
When is Cowboy Bebop from exactly?
Late 90s.
Yeah.
98 or so.
late.
I mean, it's
98,
definitely about a very good anime for its time, right? I mean, I don't know that much about late 90s anime because the first anime for me must be Dragon Ball, which is, I guess, around there too. Probably.
That was late 80s, I think, the original.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did the manga, and then the anime was on Danish TV. Some of it was translated anyway on Danish TV.
So you had anime in the 60s and 70s kind of crossover a little bit, but the first big breakout anime, I think, was Akira, which is just a film.
Sure.
And that was late 80s, made it to the US in the 90s. I think, and then Evangelion, I think, helped with that too. And then Cowboy Bebop was another huge threshold anime. Then Dragon Ball Z, obviously. But up until this point, the biggest TV anime was Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z, really, in the US.
So Dragon Ball was my first foray into anime and manga. I watched some of it on TV, then I read all the mangas, and then Yu-Gi-Oh, I think, and then Naruto.
Sure.
And Naruto is where I really started to be like, I really like this, and branch out and watch some other stuff like the old Full Metal Alchemist and Code Geass. Yeah. Man, Code Geass is, like, at least the first 2 seasons are so good. I really like him. Death Note.
Death Note's
also
good.
Great. This is not as good as any of those things.
They're different. if you want to try to compare this to Death Note, it's like you have to admit that they're in completely different genres, and so that's why they have to be evaluated differently.
Right.
But they're all anime.
I'm just evaluating them on my enjoyment of them.
We don't trust your level of enjoyment as a metric.
You know what movie would pair well with Cowboy Bebop? And I think I might have read that this was an influence
The
on
Cowboy Bebop movie? That's a good one to pair with.
Well,
it.
yeah. But I was thinking that first Hayao Miyazaki movie, the Lupin the Third movie, Castle of Cagliostro.
Wait, Miyazaki did Lupin the Third?
I think that was his first movie. It wasn't a Studio Ghibli movie, but it was a Miyazaki movie. It wasn't the show, right, which was before that in the 70s.
I don't trust Ben's. Is this an anime movie?
Yes, Lupin the Third is an anime movie.
Yeah,
I haven't actually seen it. I only know of it.
Directed and written by Miyazaki. It's his first one.
I don't trust.
I did not know that.
You made me watch Grave of the Fireflies. I'm still not getting over that depression.
Oh, what a beautiful movie! Breaks your heart, though.
Did they remake it or something? Because the first hit I'm seeing is like 2019. So
no, yeah. So there was a 2019 anime. The Lupin Third is like a huge franchise. It's like saying Dragon Ball, right? It's
never heard of it.
So his first directorial feature film was, if you look at Miyazaki, it's called The Castle Cagliostro. But in terms of the movement of the character and the kind of charming debonair quality of the character, kind of a gentlemanly scoundrel character, that's what Lupin Third is in that movie. But really only in that movie. He's mostly kind of a big pervert in the mainstream. In the mainstream stuff that he's in, but in this movie, he's very much a Miyazaki character.
Hey, now we all get to make Miyazaki movies. We can all make Ghibli movies now. Have you seen?
Yeah,
them?
Sure.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. 1979 for that one. Interesting.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of Lupin the Third, although it does have a visual element that's similar in terms of its kind of goofy detectiveness. But yeah, I've never gotten into it.
But yeah, so Cowboy Bebop is probably it's still definitely watchable, but if you're spoiled on big arcs and big ideas, it's really not it. It's really not what you want.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, like I said, still, the animation's there, the audio's there, the world building is neat, the whole why nobody lives on Earth thing, and all of that stuff. There's a lot that's good about it.
Like when you say animation, I was thinking about when I was watching. This just looks so good. If I could just have this in like HD and full, like out to take my whole monitor, all this would be so good. This is
right,
so beautiful already.
Well, yeah, I know I'm gonna earn some more negative karma here by bringing this up, but it's like I did watch the first episode of the Netflix one because I wanted to see what the fuss was about and everything. But a very similar thing, right? They lift all the sounds and the music and everything right out of the show. The production value is through the roof, but it's like it's worse, right? Like it is worse. It's soulless. The story isn't there. They changed some things that don't make sense. Like for the first episode, they basically try to redo it again, but instead of having Spike chase, well, it's weird because they do both. Like they have Spike chase them through space when they get blasted, but for some reason the main gun battle happens on Earth, and they bring in the Syndicate stuff like all out of order, and they're trying to tie it in. So the Netflix show is like trying to make the arcs, I think, but they're just not good at it. I don't know. It's weird. And I was even just reading an article like right before we started that it was like, just think of it as like, a cosplay movie or whatever. It's like, I don't watch those either.
Cosplayers would do it better. Cosplayers
right?
give a shit about it.
Right. So
okay, I will say that the actor who plays Cowboy Bebop in the Netflix TV show, I haven't watched the show. I like him in general. I like him in general.
Spike.
Who plays Spike? Sorry, who plays Spike? I like him.
Anything you say seriously.
That's like
Yeah, he was great in Star Trek also. By the way, do you have any opinions about Star Trek?
He was the wrong casting for Spike, in my opinion. But
Sure. What, like, before I had seen his face, like, because in a lot of the promo stuff, like, you see him from the side or behind or whatever, like, I thought he was the guy from shoot, the what's the game show thing, like, that's Korean, right? But still,
are you thinking Squid Game?
Squid Game?
yeah, Squid Game, thank you. And so, like, he's moved on to be a Jedi and whatever. I was like, it's too early for it to be him, like, too early in his career, right? But I was thinking it was him at first. And, like, I mean, they've got very similar builds and a bunch of other stuff anyway. But yeah, like, you know, I mean, John Cho is okay, right? But I feel like they keep trying to give him these, like, action roles with gravitas or something like that, and he's just not that guy to me, you know. So
And
he doesn't do
As-
it as Sulu. He doesn't do it as Spike, you know. So
yeah, in general, I think you've got it. Like, he doesn't seem to be the action role type of person. I think for it to feel like it was Spike, you need someone who can really do the weird limberness of his fighting style. I don't think John
Sure.
Cho can do that. And also the, like, emphasis on it being an Asian guy, I think, is wrong, because I don't think Spike is Asian.
So we would need. Yeah, also, I don't think he's Asian, but someone who can do the fighting style. We would need. What is it? Donnie Yen, is that his name? Ip Man.
Maybe I'm not even sure if that's
Yeah.
him. I was actually thinking someone more like Joel Kinnaman came to mind of, in terms of, like, the way that he's able to move. Just to move.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know.
Huh.
I didn't think about this too much, but he's the one that occurred to me of, like,
Sure.
he's been able to do those types of action things. But I always thought Spike was
Well,
meant to look more like Kramer from.
He could do that.
What's-
His fighting style is specifically Wing Chun, and I think he could definitely do his fighting style justice. If you
Yeah.
go any Ip Man fight and see him, he's really good.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's like mostly there, right? You know, but, like, I don't know. It's kind of interesting because, like, Spike is meant to be unassuming, right? Because you get those moments where it's like he's just there. And they're like, "Who the fuck are you? Fuck off!" And then they get their ass kicked, you know, and whatever. And so, you know, you don't necessarily need, you know, like Kinnaman or whatever, right? There's no misunderstanding that guy is going to be able to throw down. Whereas, like, Spike really does come off as unassuming, you know, when he wants to anyway. You know, but I don't know. I don't necessarily have anybody particularly in mind, but, you know, just that John Cho didn't necessarily do it for me, right? Like, I mean, I guess if we wanted to go, like, I don't know, I'm all over the map as far as, like, you know, nationalities and whatever. But if you're saying that he doesn't need to be Asian per se, but, you know, what comes to mind was, you know, even doing, I'm looking for his name, Simu Liu, you know, for example. Like, I don't know if he's got the hair for it, but John Cho doesn't either, really. So,
Right.
but stuff like that, you know, it's like, so you could do some things. So,
Did you watch the One Piece adaptation, Alex?
No.
Oh, that was fun. That was actually good.
That was really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I was asking. Because
Yeah.
Netflix did that pretty well. I guess the team gave a shit that works on it.
Although the showrunner is leaving after the production, it's midway through the production of that second season, so hope it has legs. But he was the heart and soul of it from all accounts.
He's leaving. He's left midway through season 2, or
Yeah, he left way midway through the production of season 2.
has it been said why?
No, I don't think so.
Like, creative differences, I guess. That's why I lost all hope for the new Avatar show too. When it was like all the guys who did Avatar: The Last Airbender was like they left. They were like, oh fuck this, because they didn't get to do what they wanted to do. And from what I remember, the show didn't turn out so well.
That's a shame.
speaking
Anyway.
of soulless, the Avatar adaptation. Excuse
Yeah.
me. So,
Which one?
what do you mean? Which one? We were just talking about live action. Is there more than one Avatar?
There's the movie that was horrendous, and then there's
Okay.
the TV
Is
show.
that it? Oh, yeah. So the movie that was so bad that it doesn't even like rate, right? So, yeah. So yeah, that one was not on my mind. I was talking the Netflix live adaptations.
I didn't finish.
feel-
I watched one episode.
I
I was
mean,
like,
what I'm
this is
starting to
pretty
hear
good.
out of this is that Netflix sucks, which is okay.
Well, I mean, you can take it to that extreme if you want, right? I think what Netflix is doing, like, I think they've got a specific niche that they're trying to get at, right? And if you want the good production values and like the good stuff, you go with a different streaming service. So Netflix is like volume as much as anything, and they pick up failed projects on the cheap from other studios and stuff like that. So it's probably not, a business model that's looking for a lot of quality. So
Which streaming service do you go for high quality?
I mean, the standard I've always had for the Dresden show, not that we're trying to plug any particular company here and everything, but it's been HBO, right? It's like you can see the quality difference, for example. Even Amazon stuff is usually pretty good. It just kind of depends on the writing. So
I've been thinking,
Yeah, that's a huge asterisk right there.
well, you say that like The Expanse wasn't one of theirs that they didn't have to finish the last couple of seasons with and everything. So yes,
that's why
on one hand you've got The Expanse, and on the other end you've got the Rings of Power. So yes, it's not 100%, but
don't forget the Wheel of Time fiasco. That
no,
haven't
that's
seen
really
it.
good now, or so everybody keeps telling me.
Oh no! Hold on. That's a completely separate argument. Fuck off. Apple TV, I think, has actually been doing rather
I
well.
like how I was being facetious here, and I just get told to fuck off.
Well, yeah, if you're gonna be facetious, fuck off. So yeah, I mean the only like. Okay, I'm trying to think. I don't watch a ton on Apple, right? So I don't have like a very wide thing. I've done Strange Planet because that's just a favorite comic strip. I've done Foundation. We just finished Severance. So, other than Severance is fucking
Severance?
weird, yeah.
Did you like
So,
it?
yeah, I mean, it's fucking weird, but
Separate conversation, but yes, that's good that you're caught up on Severance. Very good. They did Sugar, which I really liked. I was bugging Andreas into watching at least a little bit. I don't know if
I'm going to finish it. I got distracted, but I'm halfway through.
Yeah,
they've got several shows that I've been recommended. I just haven't seen a ton of them,
And
so.
They announced a trailer, and they did the trailer actually the past couple days for Murderbot, and that actually looked really, really, really good. And
I need to read those books. Like when I watched the trailer, because I've heard so many people rave about Murderbot, especially Daniel Green, and I was just like, okay, it's on the to read list. And then I saw the trailer. I was like, I need to move it up because this looks really great.
Like I saw the trailer, and then I already have these books. I pulled them up, and I'm almost through the fourth one already. So they're pretty short. You should be able to get through them, but I actually think they'll be able to do it and stick the landing because of the other things Apple TV has been able to do. And so we're talking about who needs to handle what.
I didn't get them. They were rather short, so getting them physical was pretty expensive. Audiobook was pretty expensive. Kindle, it also seemed expensive to the length of the book, and then I got cheap on it. But it looks so good, I have to read it.
They're really good. The first four are novellas, and then the fifth one is a novel. And so, yeah, they are pretty short. You can probably get a bundle for the Murderbots. But very, very good.
And I love Skarsgård. Like ever since in True Blood, even though that show was very up and down in quality, he always fucking gave it his all. He's so good.
Yeah, I think he's going to really do well with that character, too. He's another person who I feel like could do that weirdness about Spike, actually, because he's very good at being vulnerable and awkward, which is perfect for Murderbot, and trying to be unassuming, even though he's like 6'4".
I loved in the trailer where it was like the Murderbot something. Isn't that a little insensitive? Hey, he named himself Murderbot. I'm just being respectful.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's really good.
Okay, let's go back to Cowboy Bebop before we get too distracted.
You want to go episode by episode so we don't get too distracted?
No. No, I mean we could talk about the first episode though, like in the sense that it's like, it's kind of fun, where it begins and ends in the same place. That's something. There you go. That's a pretty good
Yep.
pick. If you would need that kind of distinctiveness. The it's again super homage, right? Like we basically just lift some characters and a setting out of a movie that we liked, and dropped them into Cowboy Bebop, right? Which happens a lot, right? So it's like if you want your vast collection of media that you've watched to pay off, this is a pretty good place. So again, that should give it some more points from somebody like me, right? Where it's like, oh yeah, I do recognize, Desperado or whatever, So I liked the kind of twisty ending where it's like, obviously they're smuggling all of these drugs and, her playing it off as being pregnant and everything like that. Um, it's tragic. Like the first episode's good, it's just like solidly good, and everything like that. I feel like they try to set it up so that you're like afraid for Spike when he runs into, what is it, Asimov, or what's the
Yeah.
Right.
No, the boyfriend's name is
Yeah.
Asimov.
right? So it's like, oh my god, he took out like a whole bar while he was on red eye, but at no point was I ever concerned for Spike's safety. It's like it's the first episode and maybe it's like main character syndrome, but it's like, they have a bunch of people get wharfed, right? Where it's just like, oh, he just took out like all of these syndicate goons or whatever, and then Spike shows up and he's like, yeah, hi, I'm the main character, so I've got plot armor.
Yeah,
But
it is also a chance for him to show off that he's really capable of things. It's
Sure.
like it is first episode, main character syndrome, something, but also here's why he's the main character is that he's good at this.
Sure. And then gets everybody killed so he doesn't get paid. So he's kind of bad at this. Like he's good at the action parts. He's good at throwing down and surviving. He's just not good at getting paid.
Yeah, well, that's just it. I think that's it. You've hit on it, what I think is important to the character. He is good at surviving and not much else. Just barely surviving. And I think just if you had a subtitle for Cowboy Bebop, it would be just barely surviving.
And
Right.
picking up
And
traits.
but I don't know. It's Bebop. That even the word Bebop helps add a bit of flair and fun to it. Which is the weird part about the show is that it has fun in it, despite what's going on with the characters' lives.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know how deeply to think about the show. That's another thing about the show is I want to say it's artistically brilliant because of its art design, world building, and even, of course, the music direction, which is so unique even today. I don't think there's a reused track. There might be reused music, but it's completely
on.
reorchestrated,
Go
reperformed.
to the wiki for the episodes. There is a whole section of what songs were used from the soundtrack,
okay.
and they'll also say, "Oh, this one was used in this other episode." And like these
Fair
people
enough.
have been
Okay.
extremely autistic about this.
Fair enough. Well, it's
Detailed.
it's such a variety of music. It's hard for me
Detailed
to
is a much more
realize.
diplomatic way of putting it.
Fair enough. I'm wrong. I'll fess up. Point is though,
As
I
I'm
wanna
not
say
a
it's artistically
psychologist,
brilliant.
I cannot
I want to
diagnose
say it's
these
artistically
people,
brilliant, but
so-
at the same time, it has such a tone about it that I can't quite pin it as being more than just what it looks like. Right? Is it trying to have that kind of thematic depth? Maybe it is trying to earn its sad ending. Spoiler alert: there's a sad ending, but it's very plot light. It's very arc light. It's flavor
that's
and
right.
character.
It's a
Why it
little
becomes
too much.
a bit more slice of life of like I don't know, like the episode of Sympathy for the Devil it didn't have a whole lot of a plot to it other than just what's going on with this particular couple
Right.
of people. But that's where you get like a good amount of the world building of you don't know why people are not on Earth. You don't know why what is this gate thing that is a problem until you see through this kid who's been alive for like 70 years, I think, because it takes place in 2071 and the gate exploded in 2022.
Yeah.
So because futurism years are never accurate.
Right.
But this kid has just never grown since then. And so he's just continuing on being a blues player, but he needs someone to be a guardian. And he's just been keeping people hostage doing that, apparently. But I had to look it up because this title, Sympathy for the Devil, kept bugging me. It's like, I've seen this before. At least I've seen it referenced to things. And so it was like a Rolling Stones song, which
Oh yeah.
I don't know a whole lot about music. I'm so sorry for everyone.
Introduce myself.
Right.
That one.
But all of
Man,
these the lyrics, all the things that I have seen throughout my long life, possibly even caused, and all the things that this kid has seen, not really been able to do a whole lot with. But like that type of theme, it isn't anything that you can change. It's not a plot. It's not anything about Spike's background or the Syndicate or anything. It's just, this is a person who exists in this universe and how they die.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah, but it is, in from my take anyways, it is one of the better episodes, right? They take some obscure event and they make it plot relevant, and that's great for the world building and whatever. But it's good to see Salim get some more work after Full Metal Alchemist, or
Right.
or does it go on to be Salim? I don't know, but the homunculi are still out there getting their work and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, it's just, kind of what you're saying, right? It's like the plot just literally gets dropped on them, and then they kind of get sucked into it. And because competence is a superpower, right? They're able to, shut it down and everything, but ultimately still don't get paid.
I swear, like some of the newer animes are paying an homage to Cowboy Bebop. Like that kid that really looked like Slim, and the thief from episode 2 who stole the suitcase with the dog in it. He looks like just like one of the main characters from Hunter x Hunter.
Okay.
That guy was. Wait, are you talking about?
Talking about Leorio?
Abdul Hakim? Which one are you talking about?
I'm talking about the guy who stole the suitcase from Abdul Hakim.
Oh.
With the spiky hair and the glasses. He looks just like the guy in the suit with the briefcase.
You're talking Leorio? Leorio, I don't know. Maybe if that's a design that Hunter is doing to Cowboy Bebop, I did not catch it. And I know both of these
just
pretty well.
like him. I don't know.
All glass-eyed guys look the same.
No, it's the spiky hair, glasses, your same build on the character. The guy in Hunter x Hunter has a briefcase he's always runs around with. This guy steals a briefcase. I don't know. I just thought
this feels very
It's
tenuous.
the briefcase. It's the briefcase that really sold it. So.
Okay.
Oh. When I saw him, I thought of the guy from Hunter x Hunter, at least. Don't remember his name. He's the most boring of the characters.
That's a child. Just kidding. So I think I see the character you're talking about, but
Leorio.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
you don't see it. You don't see
Sure.
it.
I guess make a discussion question of what do you guys think of the characters that we have? We have gotten all of the characters in these 10 episodes.
Hmm.
They always pick up Ed later than I always expect her to, because like, why couldn't she have been there in some of the other episodic episodes and yet she wasn't? I don't know. But they get her on episode 9.
Right.
So from this point onward, is it going to stop being episodic, or?
No, it still kind of does episodic. There's a few more of that are 2 episode arcs that happens.
Yeah. Multi-part looks like. So
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I like the main duo, right? I think they've got good energy, and like Ben was saying, Jet, maintains a humor about him despite his background and everything like that. And of course, every character, like, probably if you're into bounty hunting, you've probably got some tragic backstory or something, right? So that's not a surprise that all of these guys have some kind of past or something. Faye is capable but annoying, so at least where we're at right now, the dog is a dog.
The dog is a super genius dog.
Sure. Does that do anything at some point in the 10 episodes that I've missed? Like, I'm just like, okay, my dog's a fucking genius. She still licks her asshole, but she's a fucking genius. Like, who cares? Like, if she's not bringing in money or paying rent or something, that's a fucking genius right there. So
in these 10 episodes, you don't get to see Ein doing much, except for in the Stray Dog Strut episode where they acquire him because he's able
Right.
to very skillfully deal with like traffic and escape and everything, and he knew that Spike was going to save him. It's like he's a very smart dog.
Sure.
But in the rest of the episodes, he doesn't seem to do much other than being intelligently afraid of things that he should be afraid of.
And angry at Faye for eating his dog food so delicately.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
A little sad more than angry. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So I mean, it's whatever. Edward is fun, but more frenetic energy, right? Probably to offset the cast, the main cast as much as anything. But it's not like Spike isn't just loosely contained chaos, from episode to episode, right? So, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the characters, right? Like I said, I think 8 out of 10 and everything like that. There's not many complaints other than just like Faye is annoying, but I think that's on purpose, right?
Yes.
And she's meant to be antagonistic, with the main characters, especially in that sort of thing, and just keep them off balance, as anything. So it's like, it's hard to criticize that, because she's fulfilling her role. It's just annoying and it's meant to be. So good job. But yeah.
10-10, no
So-
notes, right?
Sure. Like, I mean, I like her introduction, and it pretty much, it's a good first impression that sticks with her the rest of the series, more or less, right? So,
In that she is
But-
clever, she's a very capable con man. It's like, or just
Well,
the
yeah,
understandable miscommunications that spirals into something else.
just the like, even I'm thinking her very first scene where she gets jumped and then she's like, oh, surprise, I have a submachine gun, so competent, despite the annoying, despite everything else, like, yes, everything is kind of a con with her, at least right now. But it's competence, and it's, like a weaponized, it's like weaponized incompetence, which is just competence still, where it's like, she's like, oh, I'm helpless, I'm a poor little girl, and then they give you a third of their money for doing nothing, for being part of the crew, even though it's like, they make jabs about like, you got to pay for room and board, you got to pay fuel costs and stuff like that. You never actually see them collect on that. They just kind of give her shit about it, and then she makes off with a third of their money and takes it to the casino, so
Gotta go gamble. When she
Right.
made the deal with Edward and had any imagination of an inkling that they could just fly away from the hacker like that, it was like,
right.
it was like, I mean, I know what's gonna happen now. She's gonna use the
Yeah.
remote control thing.
Yeah, didn't keep her promise. Ooh la la. So yeah, just like, yeah. Yeah, so I mean, Ed's a fun character. I've only got the 2 episodes to go off of right now. I don't remember how far I watched, in the first place, but here I at least made it through the 10 episodes, so it'll be good to, see everything else. And if they start fleshing out the story a little bit more, get more into people's backstories or something, I think it'll be good. So
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They will go into backstory, more of what's going on with Ed, definitely what's going on with Faye. And Spike's backstory gets kind of like pushed towards the end. And you've already gotten to see a lot of what was going on with Jet with the episode 10.
sure.
And at least that gives you more context as to why he went from being a cop to being a bounty hunter. Something kind of pushed him to leave, and this was it. And so he's kind of just stuck there, but he's still in a wanting to protect people, still wanting to do right by the law. He just can't.
Yeah, and what's Spike? I don't think it's a spoiler now to say his origins. Right, we know a little bit about his origins. He's coming from the other side of things. Right? He, I don't think he cares too much about doing right by the law on principle or anything, but he does. He's coming from a criminal side and kind of just wanting to survive without getting in trouble anymore. But his only set of skills is to be the hitman, strongman kind of mafioso type, And so the best thing you do on the side of the law is be a bounty hunter. He doesn't probably. I don't get the sense that he really enjoys it either. He just does it because that's what he can do. Maybe that's reading too
For
too much into it.
Spike. Yeah.
For Spike,
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily disagree.
enjoys it?
No, I'm just because I'm trying to think through like all of the episodes, right? And and I mean, I think Sympathy for the Devil is one of those things too, where it's like, well, we're here and we're competent, and so we're going to put this guy down because no one else can, apparently. I don't know. Yeah, like, because I'm like, I mean, what even would he do if it wasn't this, right? It's so
right.
Yeah, he wouldn't
I
be
mean,
able to fit in a type of structural hierarchy like being police, because he is too much of a wild type person. That is like the very chaotic good descriptor fits him. And so like he's not getting all of the bounties all the time, and sometimes just because he wants to help somebody instead of getting paid. Like he could have taken the money from the heavy metal queen when he knew her name, and so he got it, but he didn't. He just took the money for his one drink that she paid for, and that was it. He could have been more of an asshole, but it chooses not to. And he has that type of freedom, which he probably values more than almost anything else. That's probably why he got out of the syndicate.
Well, he got murdered out, but so. But
he made the play to leave because it was terrible, I guess, and he wanted out. I mean, that's a very basic way to describe it, but he has the freedom. He doesn't need to get back into it until he's pulled into it.
Sure. I mean, Waltz for Venus is another one where it's like he could have made off with millions and millions worth of, Wulong, and then didn't, because somebody needed help. So he made sure they got taken care of instead. So,
yeah.
Yeah. More, another chalk mark for the grim darkness of it too, right? Because Rocco is there. He's a criminal, but he's trying to do the right thing, and he dies for it anyway. Type of thing. So for a little bit, I was like, "Oh, dang, is this character going to be like? Is he one that joins the crew?" Because I remember what you were saying is like by the end of the 10 episodes, we're going to have all the crew and whatever, and then he dies, and I'm like, "Wait, what? What? No!" Like I thought he was gonna he's gonna be his apprentice and all this shit. So that one hooked me a little bit, I guess, for sure. But
yeah, I thought Rocco was gonna join the crew, and then he didn't.
Yeah. Then he did.
Wow. Didn't have to say you didn't have to put it like that.
Okay, sorry. He unalived.
Yes.
He was prematurely terminated. Is that better?
This is 2025. You can't say the D word anymore. You have to say unalived.
Yeah, I definitely sidetrack, but along those lines, like we watched the Minecraft movie this week, and it's very much a product of its generation with the whole like the bad guys are like, so I'm gonna have to like unalive you or whatever, and it's just like,
did people throw chickens and stuff in the movie theater?
No, we were apparently not in that section of town or something. I don't know. I still don't entirely understand why that's happening. Just that it is happening.
I'm not really into the Minecraft thing. So
yeah,
I have missed that boat. I did play it a bit, but not like that was back in the day before Microsoft bought it and stuff.
Sure. Yeah, I've got 2 kids who are very much the right age for it, so we went with them and a friend in the same age bracket to go see it, but it was fine. It wasn't like one of the better video game movies recently, even kids video game movies, but so just the unaliving thing is funny to me. So, but yeah, I was just looking through the episode list to see what else. I mean, like it's crazy because I watched all of these episodes this week, and Like without something to trigger my memory, I'm just like, it's tough to pull him out. Ballad of Fallen Angels was another good one, but it's like, so Spike goes ham, right? And he's got tons of grenades and stuff like that, but it's like he winds up confronting like an enemy from when he got out of the syndicate. Is that what it is?
Yeah. So
So
when he was in the syndicate, it was an orphan. Annie, the one that was had a shop, was basically his foster mother. Vicious was someone he grew up with, and they were both in the
Gotcha.
syndicate. And Vicious became more deadly, more lethal. Yeah, trying not to say that word again.
but if it
Yeah.
so.
Japanese anime names are very
he
on the
started
nose
becoming more
sometimes.
evil.
My name is Evil Man.
But with all the killing and everything that you see in the beginning, the guy Mao Yunrai was trying to how about we come to peace and we stop eradicating each other, and Vicious wasn't going to have that, and but that Mao Yunrai is someone that
I felt
Spike
bad for the gang leader who was just like looking out the windows, like, finally I can relax. I'm over this shit. And then boom, it's like, oh fuck me, and then he gets killed.
Oh yeah, this is the one where they like signed the peace deal, right, in the beginning or whatever. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's just slice of life, but there's no context entirely ever, which is part of the thing where it's like, okay, there's a guy you've never seen and will never again because he's about to die, and here's another guy signing a deal with another guy that you've never seen nor will again because he's about to explode, and and then this other guy that you've never seen or heard from again because he's going to die by the end of the episode, he's really bad and he's got a connection with the main character.
Yeah, he doesn't die though. Vicious is Vicious is the big bad of the series.
Well, sure, and I understand and see the resemblance. So I guess I've read too much into the eating a grenade part at the end of it because we don't see his body. Classic bad guy move, right? So
yeah,
okay.
I did feel like he had too much aura to just be a one-off.
Sure, yeah. I mean, yeah. So I see the resemblance, but for all I know, there are like three guys that look like that, with the silver hair and the katana, and
and the bird.
So, I don't know. Was there a bird?
Yeah,
yes,
yeah, it's like a
Vicious
bird
has
on
a
the
bird.
shoulder. Very pirate looking.
Creepy alien vulture bird something. I don't know. It's cool.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that all took place in one of the cities on Mars. There's multiple cities on Mars because they go back and forth to that at various places, but the one that Spike grew up in has a kind of a Chinese bent to it. It's like Mao Yunrai and the Syndicate and all those things. But like that is the place that in the first episode, the woman was asking, like, when we get to Mars, we'll be safe, right? And he's like, yeah, I guess there's a city. You can go there. There's multiple cities. And so he's trying to say you can be safe if you get there, when he knows how dangerous it can be. No.
Gotcha.
I thought you said if you're rich.
That's true.
If you're rich, it'll be safe.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like almost like a black swan thing. I seriously do not remember this bird though. So
one thing that I had to kind of wrap my brain around was how much money is worth in this show, whether Wulong is a yen or whether it's $1. And I think it's more like $1 than like a yen, right? Because of the expense involved, and they have this huge $8 million bounty, and that makes sense that it would all go to repairs. But if it were like an $80,000 bounty, that would not make as much sense that it went to repairs. The repairs must be super cheap or something. So as far as I can figure, and at one point they're negotiating the price of information and say it's 400. No, it's 350 Wulong. And so I think Wulong is more like the dollar, which then makes this sound more like that line. If you're rich, makes it kind of a payoff or maybe a setup for why they're chasing after money. They want to have that safety. They want to have that security. They want to be able to have that paradise, but it's always
having
out of
a
reach.
spaceship can't be cheap.
Yeah, I mean to me, that's the implication, right? It's like, yeah, they get paid millions, of Wulong and whatever, but the fuel that they barely use getting from gate to gate, that's kind of a big deal. But it's like there's never any concern about paying for the guns or the ammo or the grenades or anything like that. Missiles are expensive,
They are
so that
expensive.
starts to get some notice. But
All right, so
you
I
know,
looked it up.
And they do make a note that the spaceship is not just it's a fishing ship. Like it's for some kind of fishing boat or some kind of cheap, very, very
Sure.
cheap vessel. It's not like
Right.
the Enterprise. It's not even like Firefly. It's
Right.
it's like a runabout. It's that level of cheap nonsense. And then you see the nicer ships on like Heavy Metal Woman episode. That episode you actually see ships that are in good condition.
Right.
And they're the sleek trucker ships, whereas this one's just a hunk of junk, and not in like the cool
Because
fun.
they're broke, because they're
Millennium
eating
Falcon's
beef
a
and bell
hunk of junk
peppers,
kind of
but
way.
without the beef.
Right.
It does look like that
Right.
it was probably meant to be very similar to the yen of 1998. The symbol is the same as the
Oh,
Korean
you think
won,
so?
so that seems to be in a similar place as the yen, and so it's basically
Mm.
one oolong is 1 cent of American dollars.
Okay.
So 350 was
So-
$3.50 for information.
Right. And
Yeah,
That was
And
my
it-
scale, right? It seemed like you wouldn't negotiate 50 cents away. You negotiate like $50 away. That's why I thought of it that way.
Yeah,
It would fit more with the Western thing.
maybe, yeah. I mean, that does turn an $8 million bounty into 80,000, doesn't it? So interesting. But
Well, maybe things are just so cheap. But I don't get the sense. I get the sense that those are supposed to be like expensive hard hits.
yeah.
There's a funny little bit about this in Astro City, a comic book series. Long story short, it's a superhero world, and in this little ghetto of the main city, there's a little ghetto where all the villains live and all their families live, and they raise their families. And how I thought, what happened to your husband? Didn't he have a big score? It's like, yeah, but then he blew it all on the next big plot, right? He blew it all on the next big scheme. Yeah, he made $40 million, but he spent it on that airship that went down to the next, from the villain's perspective, that's kind of how that works. And I think that's a similar dynamic to how their money is spent, even if they had it. Faye Valentine is absolutely doing that. Easy come, easy go. That's even the tagline. And then the others barely scraping by.
sure. Yeah, I mean, when they're as bad at their job as they are, where it's like 10 episodes, they get 2 bounties, right? So they don't have.
Sometimes you just kill the guy accidentally. Like you don't have to do that.
When you don't have screwing around money, they've got to keep it in the bank, where it's like they barely had enough to get to Ganymede to refill, and they couldn't waste money on beef for their beef and pepper thing, which is like, that's another thing, right? How expensive is beef out there in space? Like maybe it is, but there are a lot of semi-terraformed places, or at least really good colonies. So there's never necessarily the implication that it's like, oh, well, Earth is the only place you can get this, even though Earth is obviously also kind of, not really a place that you want to spend a lot of time growing shit or anything like that. But yeah, like they complain about the price of beef, but never a bullet. so that's their economics there, so.
And the availability of things, it's not exactly described, except for in the one with, I guess, with Gateway Shuffle, and they're trying to discuss the that seal rat thing, and like it is really, really cheap, except for the fact that it became a delicacy, and so the price of it went really high. It's like, well, is it good? No, it tastes like shit, but it's a delicacy.
Reminded me of
standard rich people stuff.
If anyone saw that from Gordon Ramsay,
what?
10 years ago, reminded me of a shark fin soup in China. I think it was. That's like was like it's very something rich people did, but it was the broth that had flavor and had nothing to do with the shark fin. That was just kind of put in there, and it was just gelatinous and boring. You could do anything else, but it was like it was prestige to eat shark fin. So
Yeah.
all these sharks were caught, had their fin cut off, and then thrown back in the ocean because the
Yeah.
rest of it wasn't worth anything.
I mean, if you ever look at the most expensive anything, right? There is a plateau where you get the finest ingredients, and then beyond that, it's just bullshit. It's just status or whatever. Like rich
Use a
people
really good
food,
pizza, and use a really good pizza with gold on it.
exactly. It's just like, or like robin's eggs or whatever. If it's hard to get, if it's expensive, stuff like that, that's what you get, not necessarily because it tastes better at that level. And that's been my experience anyways with some of that stuff. It's like, I'm cool down here eating like everyday food because that's where the flavor is, if nothing else, because if you're not getting nutrition, you might as well at least get flavor out of it. So
Yep. Reminds me, after this, I have to go make Danish meatballs.
which is just like meatballs. It's one of the things that you guys don't make weird, right?
I mean,
So
would you say they're like normal meatballs since you've made them, Alex? Like normal, whatever you know as meatballs.
Pretty
in
close.
America? Okay.
I mean, I guess the meatballs
How much
most
salad
people
is
think
in
of it
them?
are probably a lot of like Italian style meatballs versus the Swedish style meatballs. Different spices, essentially. The
Sure.
Danish are very similar to Swedish.
Sure.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, I was about to.
At least it didn't say you're very similar
Yeah.
to the Finnish. Like that's the
I was
Finns are
about to
very
argue-
different.
made out of
in the
reindeer.
grand scheme of things, I guess we use raw onion. They usually cook the onion. They soak bread in milk. We usually use flour and milk, or potato flour instead of normal flour. That's what I do.
In the meatball.
Yes.
But so you cook the onion before you put in the onion?
That's
to
what
the
the
meatball
Swedes do.
that you're gonna cook.
That's what yes, because that's what the Swedes do. I mean, it develops more flavor, right? Like more, it will be
Different flavor.
Sure. Okay. So
The
anyway,
Danes seem to like their meatballs in a spoon egg shape rather than a ball. That's what I noticed.
Yes,
I don't
you
know why.
get more. So I don't know exactly if this is the idea behind it, but this is what cooks go with in Denmark, at least when they explain it. If this is the original intent, I don't know. You get more surface area with an egg, like kind of like an egg shape. You get an extra surface area to cook on, and so you get more of the crust, which is what tastes good.
So why not flatten it out into a patty and make a Salisbury steak?
Because that's not how it's done. It's
But you'd
then
get
it
more
wouldn't be a
surface area.
meatball;
And
it'd be a meat frisbee. So
it's just a hamburger steak.
Yeah.
I mean, but you'd get more surface area if that's what you want.
she's got a good point. She's also the one that cooks with those pans that make brownies all edges, because it's like, well, if the edge is the good part, then let's just make the edge. So,
I don't know. I don't make the food rules. I just follow them.
yeah, France makes the food rules, but
The French, the Italians, but I mean, yeah. Again, I mean, when it's Danish, it's we make the rules, and this is the rule: you make them in an egg shape.
Nah, I think
Yeah,
you're
you
just trying
guys-
to import from Austria.
you guys make the rules about certain kinds of pastries, but
That's not even. This has been an episode of one we weren't recording. We did Cowboy Bebop today. Next week is more Dresden. The week after that, it's more Cowboy Bebop. You can support us on patreon.com/brokenjars. We are live every Saturday, almost every Saturday, sometimes scheduling, almost every Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Did we have any questions today that I could quickly go through and answer? With the new segment that Lance made up last time. Yeah, Andreas, not Lance. That's when I stream and play video games. Let's see. Caramelized onions adds flavor to the dish. Yes, that's what something is bombarded by meteors. I don't know what that means.
Earth.
Oh, right.
I don't think there's a.
Keanu Reeves would be a good pick for Spike. Yeah, that's the only thing I really address. You are right, Jonathan. Keanu Reeves could make a good Spike. He's a little too old, but on the other hand, he also never really ages.
So is John Cho.
Yeah.
Well, how do you get somebody with the right personality but the moves like Jim Carrey, like a drunken master? Yeah, that's the puzzle. Live action Spike on a Netflix budget. I think John Cho's the best.
Maybe
you're gonna
Netflix
get.
would just stop then.
No. There's a very important reason why.
I can answer
yeah,
that
okay.
for money.
Don't know it was worth it. Don't know if they got a return on that. But
They never tell you.
I don't know how they
canceled the
tell you.
show, and that tells you something.
That's true.
But sometimes they cancel shit
That's
that's
true.
really good, and was
Yeah.
very popular.
Yeah, I know that part too.
Well, see, that's the well. They can't. I think what they look at is you look at the drop off. If there's a big drop off, once it starts getting to whatever percentage of it was in the first episode, then it's not worth it anymore. I don't know if they still have limited resources. You know, like they're the default streaming platform for the entire world at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm clicking the button
Just
now.
look it up.